Please be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Shockley versus Shockley.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Ms. Boone, this is a first for this courtroom. There are two brothers both claiming to be your biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
How does that make you feel?
I don't really know how to feel because I don't know if I'm supposed to build a relationship with them as a daughter or a relationship with them as an uncle.
Wow. So the plaintiff could be your father or your uncle.
Yes, Your Honor.
And the defendant could be your father or your uncle.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, for the record, the two of you are brothers who actually share the same name, Steve Shockley and Stephen Michael Shockley. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow. So, Mr. Shockley, you are here to prove to your brother, the defendant, that you are 31-year-old Desiree's father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Michael Shockley, you say there was never any question as to paternity until your brother came forward claiming to be her dad. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Wow. So, Mr. Shockley, you say she's your daughter.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've held it in long enough.
Yes, ma'am.
This has been, how many years? A secret, 31?
31 years.
And you say it's time for the truth to be revealed.
Yes, Your Honor.
But Mr. Michael Shockley, you say there's never been any question of paternity.
No, Your Honor. When we found out Gina was pregnant, we was together, and she said it was mine, so I believe it was mine. She's always been my little girl.
And you've lived the last 31 years believing this is your beautiful daughter?
Yes, ma'am.
And there was no question of paternity until your brother came along saying that she could be his daughter.
Yes.
But in your heart, Mr. Shockley, you believe Ms. Boone is your biological child.
Yes, Your Honor.
So I want to understand your relationship with Ms. Grove, which is Ms. Boone, Desiree's mom. Take me back to your relationship with her.
When I first met Gina, we met at a friend's house, and I seen her, and we just automatically had that connection. And then we was together for 5 years, had a great relationship with each other, and then we got married, and then I found out that my brother and Gina was together. So while we were still married.
Oh.
And then
that will do it.
I was told by family members that they was together. But
that's how you found out?
Yes, ma'am. I had to find out for myself. So I went to the family member's house. Someone let me in. I walked in the bedroom where they was at. I uncovered their head, seen that it was them too. I covered her head back up and walked out and left. And that was the last time that I...
So you caught your wife in bed with your brother?
Yes.
Whoa. Well, joining us from her hometown is your ex-wife, Gina, Ms. Grove. Thank you for being with us today. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, I can.
How did you end up sleeping with your husband's brother?
Well, it's a long story. Steve left a lot of part out in our relationship. He had affairs with my and my.
But that's when we was on our way out, Gina.
It's still. It's still.
Your husband slept with two of your family members.
Yes, ma'am.
And so in retaliation, you slept with his brother.
Well, it wasn't really retaliation, but yes.
Whoa. So you admit it did happen, you went on and you slept with his brother? And is that what finally broke your marriage up for good?
Well, me and Steve broke up before me and Mike got together, okay? Because me and him was having problems.
No, you didn't.
Yes, we did, Steve.
So you're saying you weren't broken up?
No, we were still married, and we was...
Yeah, we were still married. We were still married, but we were separated.
They kind of seen each other right before me and her broke up.
So when you pulled the covers off and it was her and your brother, what did you say in that moment? You just walked back out the room?
Just walked back out the room. Because I just wanted to see for myself if it was true. and I did see for myself it was true, and I walked out, and I didn't speak to them for a long time after that. And then finally, I started talking to them again.
And so, to Michael Shockley. Mr. Shockley, how do you end up sleeping with your brother's wife?
Well, I thought they were broke up at the time.
But even if they were broken up, it's your brother's wife.
Oh.
But I mean, is there any brother code? I mean, there's girl code, guy code. Is there brother code?
Not in small towns.
You said not in a small town? Look, I asked, I guess I learned that lesson. Right? Thank goodness I live in the big city, honey. What? If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Mr. Steve Shockley, take me to the point you find out about the pregnancy.
I didn't actually really find out she was pregnant until the day that she brought Des into my family member's house and put her in my lap and said, "This is your daughter."
Oh, really?
That's a lie.
That's the first time I actually found out that she was my daughter.
So, Ms. Grove, is that true?
No, ma'am, it is not.
Gina, you know
Now,
you're lying when you say you didn't.
Steve, you was at
No.
a family member's house. I came when Desiree was a baby. You kept saying, "That's my baby." I said, "No, she is not. She is Mike's baby."
No, you brought her and laid her
Steve,
in my lap.
That Steve Shockley, you sitting there telling a lie, and you
No,
know
I'm
it.
not. You're telling a lie.
You argued up and down. "That's my baby." I said, "No, she's
No.
not. She's Mike's."
I wish.
Okay, Steve, me and you both know the truth.
Yeah, we know the truth,
Okay.
and I'm telling the truth. That's
Yeah.
the reason I'm here today.
Steve Shockley,
And you need to tell the truth.
boy.
So,
Now,
Ms.
you sitting there
Grove,
telling a lie. Yes, ma'am.
when you gave birth to Desiree, were you in a relationship with Michael Shockley,
Yes, ma'am.
but still legally married to Stephen Shockley?
Yes, ma'am.
So who signed the birth certificate?
Mike did.
How did that happen?
Small town, I guess, because he was there. He was there through the pregnancy. He was there through the pregnancy. He was there through everything. And in my heart, I believe Mike's her daddy.
So,
I've always felt that way.
Mr. Shockley, you were there through all of the pregnancy. You were there because you were told when she found out you were pregnant, we're having a baby.
Yes,
so
ma'am.
you always thought this is your child.
Yes, Your Honor.
So you supported, you went through the process. In your mind, you had a little girl.
Yes, ma'am.
Did it ever occur to you that this could be your brother's child?
No, ma'am. She was my little girl. I was there during the whole pregnancy, the birth, the first week of her life. I took her home by myself because Gina stayed in the hospital.
So you even brought her home from the hospital yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
So that was your baby.
Yes, ma'am.
And I see that makes you so emotional, Desiree. What do you feel listening to? This is the man you've always believed was your father.
I mean, I was a daddy's girl. I mean, we have a song called Daddy's Girl. I used to sit on his knee and we would sing together. So, I mean, to go for 20 years being the biggest daddy's girl there is, to find out that the man that I thought was my father all this time may not be. You know, it's an emotional roller coaster. I want to build a relationship with him, but I don't want to build a relationship with my uncle if he's my dad. I don't want to build a relationship with my dad as an uncle. You know, I don't want to. I'm confused. I'm extremely confused.
Understandably.
I mean,
Because they really are two different relationships.
and they are, and it's time that I spent building that relationship with him is being a big daddy's girl. I don't want to feel like that time was wasted. So.
It wouldn't waste it.
So Michael Shockley, that was your dad. That's the man you've always known to be your dad.
Yes,
He was
Your
there
Honor.
for you in the ways that dads are there for their daughters. And that's what you've always known.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
that's what you've always been told.
Yes, Your Honor.
You've never heard anything different.
No, Your Honor, not until I was 20 years old. that came a shocker to me. I mean, I had just gotten home from work, and who I thought was my Uncle Steve at the time had called me and proceeded to ask me if I was sitting down. He proceeded to tell me that he was my dad, and it floored me.
How long ago was that?
11 years.
And so what got in your mind, Mr. Shockley, on that day where you just decided, I'm making the phone call?
Well, Your Honor,
She's 20. Your brother's raised her at this point as his own for 20 years. What made you make the call?
because, I would have been in her life way years before that, but they kind of kept moving and, moving, and I never could know where she was at so I could bond that relationship. And I told Gina to start with, I said, when she gets old enough, I'm gonna tell her.
Take me to that moment you said, I'm your father.
I told her, I said, Des, I said, I want to tell you something. I said, it's probably gonna change your life. I said, but I am your dad. And then she got quiet, and she really didn't say nothing after that, too much after that. And then she said, okay, I'm gonna call Gina. Well, she got off the phone with me, she called Gina, and then I got a call from her.
Oh. So, Miss Grove, you get a call from your daughter like that says, Mom, my uncle just told me that he's my father. What do you say?
Desiree asked me, she says, I want you to tell me the truth. She says, is there a chance Steve could be my dad? I said, Desiree, I believe Mike is your dad. And I told you, yes, Desiree, there is a slim chance that
6 months
Steve
ago.
could be.
6 months ago.
No, it was a little bit longer than that, baby.
When Steve called me and said that he was my dad, and I called you, you denied there even being a possibility that he was my dad up until 6 months ago.
But wait, let me just jump in here because I want to understand something. Mr. Shockley testified that this was 10 years ago. You were 20.
It was 11 years ago.
11 years ago, when you finally said, I got up the nerve to say, I'm your father. You obviously made that phone call to your mother after that.
Immediately after that. And she denied there even being a chance that she was calling him a liar. And denied.
For 10 years?
Yes, ma'am. She told me that there is a possibility that Steve is my biological father, but she believed in her heart that Mike was my dad.
And so for these 10 years, Mr. Shockley, what are you doing? Holding out hope?
Holding out hope. I didn't want to mess her head up when she was just a little small kid. I wanted to wait till she got to a certain age. But I didn't get the chance until she was 20 years old to tell her that I'm her dad. I mean, if I could have back when she was 13, 14 years old, I would have told her. But they wouldn't let me be around her because they knew that that's what was going to happen.
Oh, so you believe, she thought you were the distant uncle, but what you believe is they were keeping her away from you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Because you were convinced you were her father.
Yes, Your Honor.
So they created that separation because they felt like you were going to tell.
Yes, Your Honor.
That's not true.
That is true.
So to Michael Shockley,
That is true.
Mr. Shockley, were you ever aware of this, and did you deliberately try to create separation between your brother and the child you believe was your daughter?
No, ma'am. During the time we was all separated, it's because my whole family didn't approve of us being together, so I just separated them.
Your Honor, they even moved to Jacksonville, Florida.
Yep.
And I lived in Idabel, Oklahoma. So that's not trying to keep me away from her.
You're acting like we was trying to get away from you to keep Desiree from you.
Well,
and that's not true.
You always kept her away from her.
Ms. Groves, if you were able to admit to your daughter 6 months to a year ago that Mr. Shockley could in fact be her biological father, did you throughout these years have doubts of your own that you entertained at some points?
No, I really, in my heart, I believe that Mike is her daddy. I've always believed that. Because y'all kept saying, that's yours. And I'm like, no, she is not yours.
No, you walked straight in there and laid her in my lap and said, here's your daughter.
And I left. No, I got mad because I told you I was going to tell Mike. I got Desiree and I left.
No, you didn't. I sat there and talked with her. I sat there and held her in my arms for 2 to 3 hours after you put her in my arms.
You did. You did ask to hold her, and I let you hold her.
No, I didn't ask to
But
hold her.
never
You
once-
laid her in my
ne-
arms. I remember that as well as I remember I'm standing right here today.
Steve, you're gonna get struck down.
No, I'm not.
Yeah,
no,
you
I'm not
are.
because I know what I'm saying is the honest truth.
But I mean, you all are saying the same things. You're saying you did let him hold the baby.
Yes,
You
I
let
did.
him
He
hold
did ask.
Desiree.
Yes.
And he's
Yes, I did.
testifying that day you let me hold Desiree.
But he's saying that I told him that she was his daughter. That never happened.
Yes, it did.